Hi, welcome to another episode of Just Living Designs podcast. My name is Shannon, and this is episode number 11. It is a Thursday afternoon, February 8th. I was busy this morning, so I couldn't get to this earlier, so this is what time I had today. We are coming from Billings, Montana. Like I said, my podcast is Just Living Designs. My name's Shannon. My information is down below on my Instagram and Ravelry, where you can find my patterns. I sell them on Ravelry, Payhip, and Lovecrafts. And then I do have an affiliate link for a local candle maker if you would like to look into that. There's a coupon code with that as well. And my Goodreads is down below as well. I usually don't say that, but my Goodreads is down there too. And I just wanted to say thanks for all the new subscribers. I have been slowly growing my subscribers, and thanks for doing that. So I just want to say welcome to you new viewers, and thank you for the ones that keep coming back. I haven't really been saying that much, but I wanted to get that in there and just say thanks for sticking around with me and enjoying. That's why I do it. All right. Well, all right. Let's get into this. So we are into February. Even though usually January seems to take forever, it did not this year. Everything just seems to be going by so fast. So this will be a regular podcast where I'm going to talk about like what I'm wearing and what I'm making and finished objects. And then at the end will be life stuff. I do also have a pattern release that will be coming out, when this video airs. So I'll talk about that too. All right. First off, we'll talk about a little bit about what I'm wearing. This one, the sweater is the, I wrote it all down. City Limits by Tanis Lavelli, however you pronounce her name. She's Tanis Fiber Arts. This one I made 3.5 years ago, 4 years ago now almost. It was in 2020. And it is made with, I think you can either use worsted or fingering weight held double or fingering weight held double with mohair. I just did fingering weight held double. I used let's see, all the details will be, I'll link the Ravelry project page down below where I'll have all the yarn details. So I used probably either 4 or 5 skeins of fingering weight. That was just in my stash. I just went into my stash and found stuff that went well together. And it's one of those where I think you end up dropping, I don't know if you just start knitting two, I think you drop one strand and pick up another one, but I can't remember how I did it now. Anyways, you knit it inside out, and then so you're not purling all this because this is all on the purl side, and then you have these nice seam details that show up when you wear it inside, wear the wrong side out. So the purl side is out, but then there's these fun seam details. I'll stand up so you can kind of see all the colors. This one is like a cream to green fade. Like I said, just all yarns from my stash from a long time ago. Yeah, it's a nice one. Since it's all superwash, it's not as warm as a regular woolly sweater would be. All right, I think we'll go into my new design. Oh, sorry if I kicked the table there. My new design is a cowl, and it is called the Stripedy Cowl. And this one, I have 2 versions, a 2 color, and then this is a 10 color. So this one was made with Emma's Yarn Simply Spectacular Smalls DK set. So she has some of these sets for fingering and DK. And this one I think I picked up last year at my LYSC yarn bar. They sell some of Emma's yarns. and they had a trunk show, and they had a lot of her sets like this. And so I picked this one up, and it's just a 10 skein of DK weight. They're each 20 grams each. And you don't use quite 20 grams for this cowl on any of the colors. But there's just this nice detailing. It's easier to see on the other cowl than this one of when you change colors. And then there's a little bit of shaping built in, and it's knit top down. So this will be the neck side, and that's where you cast on and then you bind off. I have a tubular cast on and bind off for it to make that nice rolled edge detailing. And it's just very nice. This one's gonna look funny with all I got a colorful sweater today, but I mean, it goes well, but just because it's got the same color, you know, but yeah, so it's it's not super tight up at the neck, but it is tighter up here than it is down at the bottom because it has some shaping in there. And then, yeah, it's plenty long, so it bunches up under a coat, or if you just got a cold neck, it's not too much on your neck, but it's still nice and warm. Yeah, so that's the 10 color version. And some of my testers did like the full, every stripe was a different color. I had one person that did a solid one, and I had some other ones. And then this is, I just wanted a very striking contrast of a black and white. So there you can kind of see the transition rows a little bit better because it's really easy on the super striking one of the black and white. And this one I used Kelborn Woolen Scout in their natural and charcoal heather. And again, it was just over 50 grams of each, because this yardage is a little bit heavier, more yardage per grams than the Emma's yarn was. Again, it's just, I love this one. I think it's very classic. Yeah, I like them both. This one's, since it's not, this one is super wash yarn, this one is not. This one will be a little bit warmer probably to wear than this one would. And this one, you know, so they have different, this one's a little more drapier than this one is. And I do, in the pattern, I have detailing on, you know, what you would do if you don't have 10 colors. It's written out for 10 colors for the stripes, but I kind of should talk about how you would do that if you're doing it different. And, you know, you could do like 3 colors and just alternate back. You could do whatever, you know, it's your knitting. You're the boss of your knitting. But yeah, I love it. It's just nice. And I love cowls. I wear cowls way more than I wear shawls. And so that's just, I'm trying to design more cowls because that's what I like to wear. Yeah, it's a little warm for it right now, so I'm not going to wear it. Not going to wear it the whole podcast, but yeah. Stripedy cowl. There'll be I'll have the link to the pattern down below with a little bit of a coupon for when it gets released, because I usually do. For a little while, I'll have a bit of a coupon code for people. So I'll have that all down below. And these were finished a long time ago, but it took me a while to get everything all put together, so. All right, now we'll get into a little bit of finished objects. Since the last time, I had a lot of big ones last time. If you remember, I had a sweater and a blanket and all this stuff. I did finish 3 items in the last 2 weeks, but they're all smaller items. One of them I showed you last time because I was teaching this as a class at my LYS, the Yarn Bar. But this is the Shadow Wrap Heels, DK version Shadow Wrap Heels 2 ways. So it's DK Shadow Wrap Heels 2 ways. I used fingering held double. And I think I talked about it last time. One of these socks was done like at least a year ago because I taught it in a class. And then I just didn't do the second sock and just held off. And then since I taught the class again, I was like, okay, I'll do the second sock. So knit up the second sock a year later. So now they're both done. And yeah, I held 2 fingering weights double. It's a mixture of an Advent from Dragon Horde Yarns for the bluish color, and then the purple color. Like here I marled the 2 colors together, and here I just used the purple color held double. And that's a club from Farmer's Daughter's Fiber when she did her Jolly Parton Club, one of the colorways. So yeah, that's all done. And then I finished my first gift knit of the year, which I started this at the end of last year, but I finished a Musselburgh hat. This one is knit with, I brought the stuff, Ba Yarn La Jolla Black Pearl, and it's a bit of a thicker fingering weight yarn, but yeah, very tonal, lovely yarn. I knit the adult size large because this is going to be for a brother-in-law. So this is the hat that you knit a big long tube. Essentially, you cast on, do increases, and then knit until you're getting, I think I even brought up, did I bring up my little nugget of yarn? I did. So I used like all but about 5 grams of this ball of yarn. So this is what I had left. Out of these are 115 gram skeins. So yeah, big hat. Because it's going to somebody that has a bigger head than I do. The pictures on my Ravelry project page are of my husband because he has a big head too. So he's my model when it comes to bigger head things. That's right. I did block it so it kind of had its fold on it. And I just wanted to make sure I pushed it in the right way so it's going to look right. But yeah, so I mean, it fits me. It's loose on me, but yeah, and it's plenty big up here. When my husband wears it, there's hardly any slouch to it. But yeah, so these are very warm, nice hats. I always do it with fingering weight yarn. You can do it with other weights. She has multiple weights, and it's basically by gauge is how you figure out your stitch count. So this is probably my 5th or sixth hat out of this pattern, and I have more yarn designated to make these because I tend to make Musselburghs out of sock weight yarn that doesn't have nylon in it because it's not as durable for socks, but it makes a nice fabric. If I have a single skein, that's what it usually goes into. So yeah, first gift knit of the year done. And then my last finished object, I don't think I had these cast on last time, but I had, at the end of last year, I had pulled out yarn to make both my husband and my son some socks. And I got my son's done. It was, I think, 2 podcasts ago that his were finished up, or maybe, were they done last time? But they were striped socks. And then this was the pair that I knit my husband. I picked these out for him for a new pair of socks. This is Woolens and Nosh in her Femme Fatale colorway. And I used my pattern, Time May Change Me socks. So it is knit either top down or toe up and has an afterthought heel. So this is a sock set from Woolens and Nosh that is like one of her Kiss sets. So it's Keep It Simple stripes. So it only has 3 different colors for the stripes. And then it comes with a mini that contrasts with it. And it's put up in 80 grams for the main color and then a 20 gram mini. And so what I did is I used every last bit of the main color to get a man-sized pair of socks. And they ended up not matching the stripes just because I wanted to do the bullseye heel. And to do that, I didn't have enough left over when I got done knitting the leg and the heel on one sock to be able to pull out to start at the same point on the second sock, but I had enough left over to make a full another second sock if I didn't worry about where the stripe started. I mean, I started at the beginning of a stripe, but I did not worry about anything else. So I think this was the first sock where it started with black, it ends with black, and then the heel ends with the white at the heel. And this one started with the gray, ends with the gray, and then it ends with black at the heel. But yeah, I really like how they turned out. They're very tall. This is the size 64 stitch, which I think is a size 5 on my pattern. I think there's 9 sizes on this one. 8 or 9. Some of my patterns have 8, some have 9. And then it's just a 1x1 rib with the contrast. Anyway, so yeah, now that I showed you guys, I can get these, because I haven't washed them yet. They're just on blockers to show them. So I got to wash them and then, because I just got them done the other day. Wash them and then get them to my husband. So that's all my FOs. Like I said, it was mostly just little things that are finishing up. That muscle bra, I think I had like more than half of it done. And I just been knitting on it more lately and I just finished it up. All right, so the whips, I'm only going to talk about 2 right now because I recently finished some stuff up and I've got some work stuff going on that I'm not going to be showing you guys. So I'll show you first get this out here so I can see it. The progress on my husband's sweater. This is the Bibliophile 3. And this time I did bring the pattern with me. Let's see. By Alicia Plummer. It's just a raglan, top-down raglan, stockinette stitch sweater. This one is made for a man's size fit, more masculine fit. And she used a tweed yarn, but it's DK weight. I am using Harrisville Designs Nightshades. And this one is the colorway Insomnia. It has flecks of, it's a black yarn spun with just a hint of a color. And so this one is like a marbled with an olive green. So in the light, this lighting, you can see it really well, but yeah. So last time, put the bag down on the floor here. Last time I was right where this marker is. So I hadn't divided for the sleeves yet, and I hadn't picked up for the collar yet. And I talked about it that I was going to pick up for the collar and get that done sometime after I divided for the sleeves so the fit would be more accurate when he tried it on. And we did that, and I knit it to the dimensions that it called for in the pattern, thinking it might be all right on the yoke depth for him, but of course I should have just listened to my head and go, no, his is always longer, it seems like. So I had to, after I divided for the sleeves and had the collar, I tried it on him and it was just a little tight under the armpits for him. So I ripped it back and put the stitches back on the needles and knit like about another 3/4 of an inch to an inch in the yoke depth after the raglan shaping. It's hard to see on black, but there's a little bit of knitting here that doesn't have the increased lines on it. And then I separated for sleeves again and knit down about an inch or so, inch or two, and then had him try it on again. Much better. Yeah, and I did the collar on this is supposed to be like a fisherman's rib, really. I didn't feel like it. I just did a 1x1 rib on the collar and knit it for about 3 inches and then tacked it down on the inside. So it's a double fold over collar. And then, yeah, I am just working away. I have about possibly half the body done before ribbing, but I will try it on him again when I think I'm getting close. And we'll see from there. I am on my 3rd skein of yarn total out of, I have 6. I have plenty, I'm sure, because I don't think the sleeves will take much more than a skein usually. Sometimes they'll take a little bit more, but we'll just see. So I should have plenty. And yeah, I'm using some point protectors that I can't remember where I got these from, but they're the little seasonal ones. And then I'm knitting this on US size 5, which is what, 3.75? Yeah, 3.75 millimeter needles. The pattern calls for 6s. I usually have to go down a needle size for most designs because I'm a looser knitter. But yeah, it'll just be a great basic plain black warm sweater for him to wear. That's my, like, when I'm reading and knitting that I talked about before, and I have been doing that more. I will work on this sweater generally because it's just stockinette in the round. And then sometimes at night when we're just sitting and watching something, I'll work on that as well. But this is in a bag by Rainworks. I talked about it last time. It's nice big bucket, and it's got room for this big old sweater in it, and I like it. You can get them, they do sell online, but then you can also, this is one that's like just whenever it has this pin scraping, it's just yarn bars, unique ones. So yeah, you can get them at Yarn Bar as well. My other whip is, oh, I have to put the pattern with this so I don't lose it. My other whip is my February sock. So in my bonus video, a couple episodes back, it's a not episode video, I talked about plans for the year, and I was trying to use stash yarn, and I saw the Yarn Harlot made up a little 12-month sock subscription out of her stash, and I was like, that's awesome, so I'm gonna do that. And so I did. My daughter helped me pick out lots of just random yarns from my stash, and I put them in brown paper bags, and then put them all together. And then every month I will grab a bag out of there, and that will be my socks that I knit for the month. I didn't pick my bag or cast on my sock until I was done with my husband's socks, because that way I'm trying to limit my whips as well. I have still a lot, but I'm getting better. So this is actually a Christmas yarn. You can see it pretty well there. And it is by Murray & Company Wool Goods. And this one is the Holly and the Ivy in her classic sock. This one I did not buy. She did sell it again last year, but I think I bought it the year before. And yeah, I'm just doing top down, my trusty top down sock design. So I just have a knit 2 purl 2 rib, and I'm just doing stockinette, and then I'll knit a heel flap and gusset with the garter stitch edge, and then the rest. I just wanted a plain one just to kind of show the stripes off on this, because it's the way it's dyed, it's doing this striping. It's not a self-striping yarn, but it's striping because of the way it's dyed. And I have a charm, seasonal charm from Charmed and Dangerous on it to mark my front side. And then I also use these little light bulb stitch markers to help me count every 10 rounds, so I can make each sock the same. This one I'm actually using US zeros, which is 2.0 millimeter needles, because I found lately that when I knit with the thinner sock yarn, the 75/25, when it has like 400, and this one's 463 yards per 100 grams, found lately that those socks are loose with my normal stitch count. So the last pair I knit for my daughter, I went down to my stitch count that I usually use for 80/20, which is a thicker sock yarn. But the fabric just seemed loose. And I mean, they fit her just fine, but the fabric seemed loose. And I was like, okay, I must be getting even looser on my sock knitting. So I went down to a US 1 or a US 0. I usually use 1s. And so I'm using a 0 for these. And I like the fabric and the fit, you know, if it's the right size. So everything should be good. I can still use 1s when I use the thicker yarn, but for some odd reason, this thinner yarn, I was just, and if I did a rib, it would probably be fine too, but in straight stockinette, it's not so great. Yeah, so that, and this is in a bag by Hohe & Co. It's their little, I don't know what they call this one. It's the box bag where it just kind of has a, I've had this one for a while. This strap used to be like a really pale leather, and now it's getting a lot darker. All right. So that's all for my whips. Like I said, there are some other ones that I don't really work on. That garter stitch blanket I showed you last time, I have put a few rows on it, but I'm not going to show it very often, just because it's not going to be much different. So every once in a while I'll show you the progress on that. I do have a soon to cast on sweater. This is the Takitna, I think is how you pronounce that, by Caitlin Hunter. And it's a top-down yoke construction colorwork sweater out of fingering weight yarn. I had most of the yarn in stash for this, so I'm going to show you guys the yarn here and my swatch. All right. So the main color I'm using, this is all the same yarn that she used in the pattern. It's Biche Bouche Les Petites Lambs wool. And the main color I'm using is dark gold. So that will be my main color for the sweater. And then my contrast colors, I had, this one is dark blue turquoise. I had made a sweater for my daughter using this with mohair held together, and this is what I had left for the Les Petites Lambs wool yarn. So this is going to be my first color, and then my second color I actually had to order, which is why I haven't started it yet, and that should be, I think it's in the mail now, so it should be here on Monday. So, and that one's going to be turquoise, so it's a lighter blue. And then my next color is going to be, this is beige. And then the one after that is yellow mustard. And then the last color in the yoke is going to be soft orange brown. And so it will have blue on the bottom and then like a lighter blue in the middle. So it's similar to her colors, but not quite, you know, because again, I was using mostly yarns that I had in stash. And this is kind of what the swatch looks like. I found out, oops, dropped a ball. I found out that my gauge, because usually with Caitlin Hunter patterns, my gauge is on. With hers, especially if I use the same yarn, it is here in the stockinette section. I did not change needles at all for between the two, which I normally do in color work, and I learned I have to. So I'm going to go up a needle size in the color work because my gauge is off there, and then use the regular needle size for the main stockinette section, of which is what most of the sweater is. But yeah, so this is kind of how it will be knit, and these are my final three colors, and then it will have the two blues on top of that. And I think it will be a nice, fun, lightweight, but still woolly. So it will be a good transition piece, especially in the fall, but even in the spring. Yeah, so I'm excited about that. I really want to start it, but I'm making myself wait until my yarn comes in, because if I start, there's not much, there's like the ribbing to do and then like some short rows, and then you go into the chart where I would need the other color, the other blue. So there's not much knitting that I could get done because of where I have my placements. So I will wait until that comes in, but that should be cast on probably this next week. Since once that yarn comes in, I'll wind it up and start it, I'm sure. Ugh. And that's in another bag, another big bucket bag. This is one of their older styles from Rainworks. So right now I have all the yarn that I have for that, except for, so the reason I had the like white, yellow, and orange and brown yarn is because I started this, and this is, oh, what is it called? It is the Straya by Andrea Mallory. And I love how it looks, and it's very much my color jam with my 70s stripe vibes. But the problem was, and this would have been a cardigan, this is the back. But the problem was, it was just a pain to knit. It's fisherman's rib or half fisherman's rib or whatever you call it. And I was just, no. I wasn't going to knit a whole sweater like that. It took me forever just to get this far. And so I just broke the yarn and took the rest of the yarn that I had, because I didn't use a full skein of brown yarn for this part, and I barely used anything for the stripes. If I need more brown, I can always recover from this. But at this point, I'm not going to do anything about it. This is just going to be a wash unless I need it, type of thing. Because I had 5 skeins total of that brown yarn, and I don't think I need that much for my size, and I'm knitting, so I should be all right. But I have a tendency to make things longer, so we'll see. And I haven't decided yet. The sweater's supposed to have color work at the bottom of the sleeves. I haven't decided if I'm going to do that yet. We'll see what I'm feeling when I get to it. All right, and so that's all the knitting and future knitting. I only have one acquisition, and that was because I love self-striping sock yarn. I always look over there when I say that, because that's where my self-striping sock, all my sock yarn's over there. But this is from Kirby Werby. She had posted on her Instagram. See, Instagram's dangerous. She posted on Instagram that she had, was it on Instagram? Or I don't remember if I saw it on Instagram, but I'm also on her mailing list. So it was on one or the other or both. But this is one of her colorways that I always thought was funny. And it's very much in my daughter's wheelhouse because of the theme of the movie that it's based off of, plus the colors. There's, corals and blues and purples and stuff. And then the mini is purple and it's sparkle, and she loves her sparkle socks. Every time I make her any socks that are sparkly, she gets all excited about it. So this is the colorway Frozen Farmer's Hiney. And so I think the story behind that is when she was watching Frozen with her daughter, and they're singing a song at the very beginning. It sounds like they're saying Frozen Farmer's Hiney. And so that's what her daughter would say. And so then she made a colorway out of it. And it's awesome, because now whenever we watch Frozen, because it's a good movie, that's what I think they're saying, even though I know it's not what they're saying. I can't even think of what they actually say. It's funny. But yeah, so I bought this to make my daughter some socks, and she really wants me to cast them on right now, but I'm going to wait until I get my other February socks done, and then I can cast them on for another little sock project to go. Because I also have other socks on the needles for designs, and I have another design I need to start. So I don't want to have too many sock projects going at once, or else it can get a little overwhelming. So I'm going to wait and just only have one personal sock project going. That's not a work one. So that one acquisition, thought I did pretty good. Like I said, I'm trying to reel it in. Talking about that, since I am trying to be better even this month than last year, even though I had the same goal last year of having more yarn go in than out. I was gonna show you guys my totals from last year or last month. I had a fair amount of yarn come in because I had they were all ordered before January. So 2 of them were pre-orders, but I had a sweater quantity plus other stuff come in, and it was 1,120 grams in. So that's a fair amount in, but because I had a sweater and a blanket and some other big items, like lots of socks and hat and scarf and everything else, I finished a lot of objects last month. I had 1,697 grams out. So I'm still in the black, which is good. We'll see how it continues. I will do it just month by month, and then at the end of the year, I'll total it up. Like if you remembered my bonus episode, my totals were, I had more grams come in than went out, so that was a bummer. But yeah, last month I finished 1, 2, 3, 7 items, and I've already gotten, I think 2 done this month, so doing pretty good. Yeah, so we'll see how it goes. I'm trying to be better about it, and maybe talking about it here on the podcast will make me better about it. I'll talk a little bit about reading and watching and life stuff, and then we'll wrap this thing up. Reading, it was the same 2 books, but I finished the one that I was listening to on Audible yesterday. I finished Court of Silver Flames, which is the last book in the Akhtar series by Sarah J. Maas. I talked a little bit more about it last episode, how it's a bummer that, in my opinion, that it's so graphically sexual, because that's not my cup of tea at all. And there was times that I actually had to skip ahead in this book, where I didn't have to do that with the other ones because it wasn't quite as bad and it wasn't as much. This one just seemed to be like a lot. I really did enjoy the story of the book and the character building and all, you know, I love the world that she makes and all that stuff, but I understand that the relationship is necessary for the story, but I don't think we need, personally, maybe I'm a little prudish, but I don't need to, that's not what I find enjoyable to listen or read. But yeah, so on my Goodreads, you'll see that that's kind of what I wrote on a review about it, and I gave it a 3 stars. It's still a good book. It's just not as enjoyable as it could have been. I'm still also reading Fairy Tale by Stephen King. That one I am probably about 3/4 the way done with. It's getting, you know, it's really taken a turn, and I do the same thing with books as I do knitting. When it really starts to get like, I drive it home a lot faster, because I'm like, I just want it to be done. I want to see the end. I want to see where it's going, type thing. And like with knitting, I do that too on projects. When they get close enough to the end, I'm just like, okay, hyper focus. And then I do the same thing on books, which is why, like yesterday, I think I only had a few hours left to listen to that Audible book, and I just finished it because it was so close, and I was like, well, let's see where it's going. So yeah, I will start a new audiobook. I have a few in my library from Audible. I don't have a subscription to Audible anymore, because I had a subscription. I had so many credits that I had to keep buying books, so to speak, and then I wasn't listening to them fast enough to continue the subscription. So once I run out of the books that I have already in my library to listen to, then I might resubscribe for a while and get some more in there. But right now I'm just gonna have to listen to the ones that I already bought, that I said I wanted to listen to. And then on watching, I did finish Friday Night Lights, that series. It, like I said last time, I enjoyed it for the most part. It was a little over the top when it came to, I hope teenagers don't act like that, because I have a teenager. And there was one part where there was like a writer's strike or something. You could tell, because all of a sudden the story kind of just stopped, and then they started over, and a lot of things were different. And you're like, what? And they just skipped over a huge chunk, and that's why. The end of it, I really wasn't liking the dad at the very end, but I'm not going to spoil it, but yeah, I started not liking the dad a lot at the very end. My husband and I started rewatching the 3rd season of Witcher, because we were watching it. When was that, over Christmas break or before Christmas break? And I haven't enjoyed this season as much as the last 2. It just seems kind of disconjointed on its, like they just, I don't know. It's like they're trying to do too much, or I don't know, but it just doesn't have as good of a flow as it has in previous seasons. So we stopped watching it, but we picked it back up. And last night we actually watched a new episode that we hadn't seen previously, but we were like, if we just start watching where we left off, we've probably forgotten. So we rewatched the first few episodes that we had already seen. So last night we finally got to a new episode that we hadn't seen before. And then I just started watching the Gilmore Girls, because I talked about it with yarn that I got last week. So it was in my head. I was like, yeah, I'll watch Gilmore Girls. So I just started watching that every once in a while when I don't know what else to do. and I'm knitting generally. Yeah, life stuff been about the same. My daughter I thought it was last weekend that we were going to have to judge in a tournament, but it's actually this weekend. So tomorrow I'll be judging in a speech and debate tournament. And it is the national qualifying for this region, and it's held here in town. So that's why I have to judge. I don't have to judge, but yeah, they always need judges. So I'm judging on all of Friday. So it's like 4, 6, and 8. I'll probably get home around 10 that night. And my daughter's participating, even though she doesn't think that she'll get to nationals. It's her first year doing it, but it's good for her to continue to do the tournaments and get better. That's, I mean, how you get better. And it's local, why not, you know? Yeah, so she's participating, and then I'm judging, then my husband will judge the next day, and that's the last tournament, and unless she gets into nationals, that's in like June. And then she's starting, I think next week already, she has to start going to the practices for the play, because she's part of the tech crew. She's going to help with wardrobe, and then probably some other stuff, set building and other things. Yeah, my son's not in any activities currently. He is signed up for soccer, and he's gonna probably start track whenever that starts, so it will start up soon. And then yeah, I'm just busy. I wrapped up, like I said, I wrapped up my sock class at the yarn bar. I was just there earlier today helping out somebody with brioche, and then we're gonna do some other stuff there here in March. I don't think we've released what we're doing, but we're getting some more things going. And I always, I might always have classes on and off. If I have a class coming up, I will try to talk about it on here so people can go to the website and sign up if they want one. Again, it's local. You have to be local and join. I don't do any Zoom classes or anything. But yeah, so I hope you guys all had a good 2 weeks, and I hope you have a good next 2 weeks. I will be back. And like I said, the new cowl design should be coming out. Where did I put it? Oh, here it is. The new cowl design should be coming out here tomorrow. So when this video is released on Friday, the cowl should be released on Friday, so you guys can snag a copy if you want for a discount. I usually put a 15% discount on all my new patterns for a little while, so I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you guys have a good 2 weeks. Happy knitting.